Hello everyone, it's Shermalette here live at 5. You absolutely had no idea that I was doing it today at live at 5. And it's a couple of minutes after, but I wanted to come on for a couple of reasons. Yes, wish everybody a happy holiday. Who knows what's going to kind of unfold for a lot of people. I definitely am still continuing with the chat walks. No question about that. They are appreciated and very grateful. People are very grateful to have something to go to, maybe to break up their day, to help them. This is very clear, and it's also very clear that in Toronto here, and maybe elsewhere, this event is starting to test more and more people's patience. And so you're either on one side of it where you are just thinking, man, we haven't done it right. Man, we got to get this, we got to get through this. Or man, this is just getting worse and worse for the time that it's carried on for. But really, you kind of see through all of that. And I just want to go through a couple of things. So I don't have anything new. I don't have anything new or something different because it was just kind of like a last minute thing I wanted to come on, especially, just wishing everybody a happy holidays. But I do have a document that I want to put up in a couple of links. But the idea is, yes, it's clearly things are happening in such a way that it's dragging out for how long, who knows. But I wanted to go into some news. Yes, we're going to tell some jokes, but I wanted to go into some news. And this is about the World Health Organization and the United Nations, and in a couple of words that, again, if you just see them differently, then you're going to know. But one of the things is possible here is that there's an agenda, and it's been laid out to drag this on, to make make a difference to the entrepreneurs, small business, not a good difference, but that, and for the people and all the things. So I encourage you to read through I think it's called the Global Forum or the Agenda 2030. I think first and foremost it's on the United Nations, but then they don't really have any way of, they're not a body that actually operates where the countries have to do what they're told. They don't operate that way yet. No, they won't. But the idea is the countries have them. So each and every country, I think that's part of the UN, maybe some yet not, maybe some had it sooner. But I think if you go under Agenda 2030 or find something of that under sustainability, global climate, something like that, that you'll actually get some sort of a document. Canada has it. I'll try and find it and post it. I think America may have it as well. So let's get into something else here, because I have talked about the mass ongoingly, and I'll put the link down below. Again, there's a letter, and I'm going to read a little bit of the letter this time. And but let's see what the WHO has to say. This is not too long ago. And what happens when your feet are put to the fire? When your feet are put to the fire, then you just have to say something, because then it really takes away the confidence and stuff like that. So language is key. Language is key. Actually, before we get into those two things, what does COVID really stand for? And I heard this, I think it was Sasha Stone. What does COVID very much stand for, right? It stands for certification of vaccine identification. Whether that's true or not, it sounds that it's possible, probable. Let's go into the WHO here. This is principiascientific.com. The title is WHO, as in capital WHO, finally admits COVID-19 PCR test has a problem. And so this is like a title of it. So we can look this up at the World Health Organization, because here's the graphic for it under the World Health Organization. WHO information notice for IVD users. This is the identification of their vaccine virus. Nucleic acid testing, NAT, technologies that use real-time polymerase chain reaction, this is PCR, for detection of SARS-CoV-2, December 14th, 2020. It's a medical product alert. Geneva. Reading time 2 minutes. Wow, they give a little bit more, lots of information. But so the actual link to their article, them saying it. But here's the thing. So they have made a statement to say that what hundreds of thousands of doctors and medical professionals and scientists have been saying for months, that this test is a hit and miss process, but there's way too many false positives. And remember, I spoke to somebody at the Toronto Public Health. Now, they just take in the information when there's positives or negatives. They don't do the testing. It's from the hospitals. But she said it's very rare that we have a false positive. So that would just take me down my analytical mind and thinking about processes and, you know, how would they know? How would they know? They're supposed to call people up, but many people are elated to get a positive. Oh, I got to stay home. I get to work from home. And this is part of the scenario here now where some people are liking the fact they work from home. Well, I wouldn't want to be in the traffic either. Well, let's carry on. The World Health Organization admission is the crux of the problem. Is a wholly arbitrary cycling process, which means that many cycles were required to detect the virus. So you may have just an itty bit, a dead virus, blah, 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 one whatever, and there you go, you're tested positive because it's doing all these cycles to make more of it, and you get something, one thing, but you know, you're positive. So in some circumstances, the distinction between background noise and the actual presence of the target virus is difficult to ascertain. And it goes on a little bit, but the idea, there's two key things to for people to understand, and it goes through here about Professor Mullis, Kary Mullis, who unfortunately passed last year. I'd love to get him talking about this right now. But yes, so there was a court case in Portugal, as it goes on to. So what I like about this particular article is it brings in more information that way. But it would be interesting to understand where our governments go with this test. The thing is, you hear them say that there is all this false positives, but at the end of the day, the good people out there, the people who are getting tested, the people who are relying on it to either open, go to work, and all these, you know, this lockdown nonsense, crazy stuff, is all based on number of cases. Well, if a number of them are not true and they're actually false positives, why are we locked down? And they know that. So there's a huge disconnect between why the masking, which I am going to put the link up, I'm going to read a little bit now and do that. So here's another thing on March the 16th, 2020. Now, we all have to keep in mind that this particular test, PCR test, was known by Kary Mullis years ago, not too long, but that it doesn't work for infectious diseases. So in my mind, the WHO, the World Health Organization, already knew what it was all about. There's no way they can't. That would just, okay, we're going to drop your IQ down by a few, I'll say decades, by about 20 or 30. If they don't know enough to do their own research, what does that mean? So, of course, the doctor, but not really a medical doctor, Tedros, Director General, what's his thing back in March 16th? We have a simple message for all countries. Test, 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 test. And that was the big push to get them created, the big push to roll them out, the big push to get lots of tests. And quite frankly, nobody has the brain cells within the government to say, hey, look, we're doing a lot more testing now. There's false positives. And also, how is it that we can compare September with May? There's so many inconsistencies with May when they did so much more testing. So the percent that positives were they were coming up, which were, we shouldn't even, false positives, who knows how many cycles. Nobody wanted to come up with, come clean on how many cycles they were using. So lots of red flags there, but I'm going to post that. And quite frankly, some of this information that's starting to come out is, what is it really good for? Not good for some of us who've already known this for months and months, but for the people who didn't really believe the tests were a problem, didn't really believe the masks were a problem. So now we have two pieces of information that we can have people look at. Now they may very well come back with something else that they want to, that's not unheard of, where I'm just looking for the letter here, open letter. Open letter. So let's just go a little bit through here. I want to just point out a couple of things. So this is Chris Schaefer, who from the call on last Monday through the Glorious and Free, it's kind of anybody can come on and listen to him. He's 27 years in training for health and safety. Now I myself was the co-chair, because you have to have two co-chairs on the meeting. One's the business side and one's the employee side, as they call it, worker side. And so I was the business side co-chair for about 12 years on the Joint Health and Safety Committee for a corporate office, mind you. And yeah, we probably had 500 people there. And then the other side of it was getting certification. So long, lengthy, but certification 1, certification 2, and keep up with some other things, first aid and those kind of things. So it was, so I know a little bit about health and safety, for sure. And so here, he writes, Chris Schaefer, SafeCom Training Services. You're going to see it for yourself. Dr. Dina Hinshaw, Chief Medical Officer of Health and Alberta Health. Okay, so this was posted back in June 22nd, and apparently he's blacklisted as far as media goes. Yeah, in the sense that, yeah, they're not doing articles about this, the newspapers or anything. So more to think of. So in here, this is about the wearing the N95, which is one of the lower, how can I say it, respiratory masks. Those, he said it was the lowest one, the N95. But here he says, and this is his background, I have been teaching and conducting respiratory fit testing for over 20 years, and now currently for my company, SafeCom Training Services, Inc. My clients include many government departments, our military, healthcare providers with Alberta Health Services, educational institutions, and private industry. So he's a published author, as he says, and a recognized authority on this subject. Filter respiratory masks, especially the N95, surgical and non-medical masks, provide negligible COVID-19 protection for the following reasons. So one of the things is size of the molecules, and this has been around for a while. So viruses in the fluid envelopes that surround them can be very small, so small in fact that you would need an electron microscope to see them. N95 masks filter out 95% of particles with a diameter of 0.3 or larger microns. COVID-19 particles are 0.08 to 0.12 microns. Yeah, and here's the other thing. Viruses don't enter through our mouth and nose only. They enter through our eyes as well. Pores through skin. We know things absorb through our skin. So the only effective barrier one can wear to protect against virus exposure, I'm going to put deadly virus exposure, would be a full encapsulated hazmat suit with cuffs and ankles taped to the boots. He goes on here, cuffs and wrists and taped to gloves, and while receiving breathing air from a self-contained breathing apparatus, which is like scuba. This barrier is standard gear to protect against biohazard viruses and would have to be worn in a possible virus hazard environment. So the idea really is there's really nothing here other than what's here before, and a lot of people are not, they do have a compromised immune system. So we have to take that into account. So the number of deaths, not really different. The number of, the whole thing around deaths and autopsies and getting the, with COVID, 2 to 3 comorbidities, which means they were dying from something else anyway. Just marking everything down with COVID so that the hospitals can get funding, those kind of things. So not only are N95 surgical and non-medical masks useless as protection from COVID-19, but in addition, they also create very real risks and possible serious threats to a wearer's health for the following reasons. Wearing these masks increases breathing resistance, making it more difficult to both inhale and exhale. According to our Alberta government regulations on respiratory mask use, anyone that is required to wear a respiratory mask must be screened to determine their ability to safely wear one. So any covering of the mouth and nose increases breathing resistance, whether the mask is certified or not. Now, I'm just going to jump in here quickly, but there are some reasons, breathing through your mouth, breathing through your nose. So to breathe through your nose, a practice of slowing the breath down, can be a very, very healthy thing. People wearing these masks have probably got their mouth open, maybe getting less oxygen as you would mouth open without the mask, but there may be some benefits to properly breathing. Those individuals pre-existing medical conditions of shortness of breath, lung disease, panic attacks, difficulty breathing, chest pains and exertion, cardiovascular disease, fainting, claustrophobia, chronic bronchitis, heart problems, asthma, allergies, diabetes, seizures, high blood pressure, and pacemakers need to be pre-screened by a medical professional to be approved to be able to safely wear one. I haven't seen too many people or doing that. Wearing these masks could cause a medical emergency for anyone with any of these conditions. So pregnancy-related high blood pressure is possible. So more research to determine that wearing a mask for extended period of time. I'm not sure if he goes into the extended period of time, but much of what I read was you wear them for short periods of time, not the way some people are wearing them now for hours at a time. But funny story. So my daughter was out, it was cold a few days ago, and she has her mask on. She went to Loblaw, so she comes in, she goes, "Oh, my face is nice and toasty." Like, I knew that was coming. For some people wearing masks, they could appreciate that they're keeping their face warm. So here's what I get. Homework. Buy a nice, lovely scarf, winter scarf, and you can keep your face warm with a lovely winter scarf. Anyway, so let's go to B here. So these are a few things as to the problems to wearing them. I'm actually going to go here, but the fitting is very key. That's very, very, very key is for the fitting. Let me think here. Yeah, so you got the oxygen, you're inhaling more of the exhaled carbon dioxide. There's the moisture and the buildup of bacteria and stuff. It's almost like fresh air. So if you think about airing out carpets, when they're inside and they're stuffy, airing out houses, rooms, airing out. So this is like when you get the fresh air and you go outside, it's like airing out your lungs. So to be walking with a mask on outside seems almost crazy. I mean, that would be my very, very, very key thing here to say is if your face or neck or whatever is cool, warmer by wearing the mask, just get a lovely scarf, a lovely winter scarf, and do that. But that's a couple of things. So we don't have summer, so we can think of the warmthness, the over the heating and stuff like that not being a problem throughout the winter, especially going inside and things like that. But I have no desire to wear a mask, and I know people say, well, you should make people feel comfortable, and I'm really on the side of being an example of that we don't need to wear the mask, an example that the mask is not working, the example of the mask isn't healthy for us, and maybe healthier and a whole lot less healthier for some. So that I think is important. But the idea is he does bring up we have an immune system, and that's one of the key things I actually absolutely want to be reminding of here, just to kind of go in and wrap up and then say some jokes and wish everybody a wonderful, relaxing, take time. You hear this, you're hearing this more. Take time to enjoy some time with you and your family or anything like that. Now, immune system. So let's understand a few things about the body that might not be really in the medical repertoire, in the sense of when you come in, you're feeling bad, let's give you something to clear it up. Let's give it something to dry it up. Let's give you something to take the headache away. But it's getting to the root cause. Getting to the root cause. So let's look at the body a little bit. There's more details in my book, but I actually want to go through this very quickly with you today. And that is that the immune system and your body is working in your favor all the time. All the time. That's its purpose. So you have a system, a body that is trying to survive and thrive all the time. And we need to treat it in a way that supports that ongoingly. It's not that we want to think of it as separate parts or separate entities, but if you do, let's call, Mr. Immune System and Mrs. Cardiovascular System and Mr. Neurological System, just kind of look at it that way. Then you have these systems in our body, made of organs and tissues and all of that stuff, and they know what their job is. We don't have to tell them what their job is. We don't have to sit them down and teach them what their job is. They don't need to be taught. That's the intelligence that we're born with, that our cells that make up our tissues, that make up our organs, that make up our systems, that make up our body. The intelligence is there. Now, if you don't believe the intelligence there, then we're going to jump into how your mind thinks and what you believe, and this is the good old placebo effect, which is real. So you can create symptoms by thinking you have something. You can create symptoms by believing that there is a something to fear, a virus. You hear everybody else getting them, or these medical drug tests, whatever that they have, studies, research. They will do the placebo because it's very real. So the first thing is to believe that your body has the intelligence to look after you. It never says, I'm done. The next time you put a donut into my body, I'm done. That's it. I am going to be, hi Angel, I am going to teach you a lesson. No, the body does not do that. The body does not have an altered ego that says, okay, I'm going to give you a rough time, or who are you to say this to me, right? So the body does not have that. The body is doing as it intelligently knows what to do. Now, sometimes, let's just say you ask somebody to clean your house, and they come in, and the various parts of our body are there to detoxify. So they're there, but you don't give them the broom, and you don't give them rags, and you don't give them any soap, you don't give them anything to do. Do you think their job will be harder? Absolutely, but we're going to try our best anyway. We're going to do what we can. We're going to use what we have. And that's the way the body operates too. It will use what it has. It will take from maybe another system, let's just make it up, another organ. Certain things have priorities, which I'll go into in a minute. So it's not going to beg, and it's not going to borrow, and it's not going to do, it's just in its kind, peaceful way. Okay, this is the priorities here. This is what we're going to do. Cholesterol, hey, I'm going to lay down here in your arteries that are starting to split and starting to be more rough, and we want the fluid, so we're going to lay down the yellow, waxy, slippery substance called cholesterol that we produce in the body, and we're going to put it down, because this is where we need to do. We want everything as fluid as possible. So you can almost think that there's a whole little probably executive committee that, but it's probably in every cell anyway, to see what there is, what needs to be done in the fraction of a second, you know, a nanosecond. Not that I like the word nano so much, but in a nanosecond we can actually and uncover, and the body's doing what it's doing. Right now, here's the brain. So the brain communicates various things from yes, the brain, the thoughts to the gut. And if you're being chased by a lion, a lot of your body will just go, oh, this is what we have to focus on. And if you're thinking about all the stuff that you do, things will get tighter. I was talking to a fellow practitioner today. Yeah, things just get tighter from your jaw to your toes, from your eyelids to your to your knees. I mean, everything can kind of go tight. And this is the whole thing around relaxation. So the body is intelligent. Let's remember that. And number two is to know that it's intelligent and you believe it's intelligent, so you can support it with believing that. It's a bit of awareness, a bit of mindfulness. It's all of that kind of wrapped up, and having confidence and no doubt that that's the physical body that's vibrating, that's moving things around, using what you're putting in. So the second thing is, well, there's building blocks that it needs to survive. Most people believe they need a whole lot of building blocks, so they eat a lot of food, and others don't believe so much and they welcome fasting. So wherever you are in your beliefs, there's no way we have enough time to go through all of that. But the idea is water. Just go with 8 glasses of water. If you're only having 4, now we're just talking about just water, not coffee, nothing with caffeine in it, nothing with sugar in it, because your body will use up more water if you have sugar, more water if you have caffeine. So just pure glasses of water. If you do not like the taste of water, which is a real thing for some people, just put a bit of lemon in, or make a light tea, something of that nature. But lemon, lime, you can even do a splash of the pure cranberry juice. I mean, if you just wanted something in there. So water first. First is actually oxygen, so absolutely the breathing, but you have no choice in that. Water, you have more of a choice and an awareness, and to pay attention and to monitor yourself. Thirdly is the nutrition part, or the food part. And that part is what it is for you right now. But that plays an important role in the environment in your gut, to having the building blocks for the rest of your body to use to be the best it can be. But next to all of that is the balance, is the sleep, is the being active, not too active, not too much sleep, not too little sleep, not too little. So you can see there's a sweet spot that all of you can explore in your journey as to what's right for you. Sometimes you're going to find that this is what you're going to do for a few days, or need to do for a few days, and then you see how your body responds. So it's pay attention. But those things are going to help the immune system do what it needs to do. The vaccines are not what you think they are. By far, they are not what you think they are. They do what they do, but it's like caffeine in the system. It triggers the nervous system to get all up in arms to deal with this drug called caffeine, and that's why you feel like you have some energy, because it's it's firing off to better deal with the caffeine. That's why there's ups and downs. So we have that with many other things. But the idea is we need to know our immune system can do what it needs to do. And you have to believe that. And then, yes, everything around the balance. So water is going to be hugely important. And even in the wintertime, when it's snow and dry, and you'll know more about your environment. That's why they say to keep the temperature a little bit cooler, not so much in the mid 70s, but a little bit cooler. So that's very important. There's many factors on health, and that's why I'm going to revamp the For You Better Health uh, course program with some of these other practical things. If I don't already have them in there, I probably do, but I have to review it. Other than that, that's the key thing I can say is understand that your body, right down to every cell in your body, is absolutely intelligent. It's intelligent if we have to put the word and use the language of intelligence, and that is there. Everything else is going to be what you are applying in your lifestyle and to your thought system. So your thoughts are things too, and that's going to be very important. So we have this immune system. We have not only today where we have whatever it is, the flu, but apparently there's no flu, but there's the viruses, colds, and everything. If you manage your lifestyle to a certain degree, then you won't really ever get sick. Or you'll know exactly why you got sick. That I can tell you from experience and living through it for the last 10 or so years, and raising children too. Environments is so important, which I'm just going to kind of jump in and say happy holidays, because when you are feeling good and getting together and taking time for yourself, taking care of yourself, taking care of others, if that's the case, then the feel-good feelings will be very strengthening to your overall body intelligence. So that's do we get into energy? Do we get into spirituality? Do we get in metaphysics? Yeah, but that's because everything is connected, in a way that maybe most of us and more of us know more and some of us know less. But the idea is it's that intelligence. That's the word I'm going to use today more often, is intelligence, intelligence, intelligence. It is there. It is automatic. It is innate. You were born with it. And surely we've gone through a number of experiences to tell us different things and have us experience different things and have us appreciate different things and have us, see, visually in our physical body how we're taking care of ourselves, how we're feeling energy-wise, all of that, all these symptoms that they talk about that we have are just the body and its intelligence communicating to us that there is something going on, that something is needing attention, right? So what do you need to pay attention to? I don't know, but that's like consulting 101. As a practitioner, what do you need? What do we need to pay attention to? What is there to be well, you've got to start with symptoms. That's one part of it, for sure, on a physical level. Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's get into, no vaccines for me. Wow, there's more and more people really saying no to vaccines. And the thing that I'm hearing more and more too is that, well, if they have a treatment, they can't make them mandatory. But it's crazy that some people, and very intelligent people, are going, this is new, this is great, let's all take it, why not? It's a medical system built on not our intelligence, okay? Not built. The medical system is not built to take advantage of our intelligence. No, it's built to be able to control things in the body. You get a headache? Oh, I want to be able to have that magic bullet so that the headache goes away. And sure enough, over the years, they have come to the conclusion, as others have, and for however long this has been around, decades, centuries perhaps, that inflammation is a component in every disease. So let's do a few jokes here, and then we'll carry on. A computer once beat me at chess, but it was no match for me at kickboxing. Yeah, I think we can get a visual there. Physical. Yeah, so remember that when it comes to medical. So medical has its pluses, but it really isn't no match for the placebo or our body's intelligence, because otherwise cancer would be gone. Otherwise, type 1 diabetes, all of these things wouldn't exist if they're that intelligent. But it's about controlling it, not understanding the root cause of it in the first place. My bakery burned down last night. Now my business is toast. There you go. Not that we want to have a visual on burning buildings. We do not. I left the best one to last. Two atoms were talking to each other. Now, I don't mean two atoms, two atoms, as in what makes up a cell or a molecule, let's say, or a particle, or a, yeah. So the first atom said, "I've lost an electron." And the second atom asked, "Are you sure?" And the first atom answered, "I'm positive." So for those who know science or remembers science, just so that you're not standing there going, "I have no idea what that means." So the idea is, when we think of what makes up an atom, there's protons, neutrons, electrons, let's say. And if you have an electron, there's like negative and positive. So in this case, they lost an electron, which makes it positive versus a negative charge. So you got positive, so you lose electrons. And there you go. So that's that one. And that's all for today. Really wanted to come on, read those couple of things of the WHO, talk about the mask a little bit. There's some crazy things going around. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to talk about them yet, to tell you the truth. If you surely know about them, that's awesome. But one of the things I'm very, very cognizant of is what you put your thoughts towards, what you put your thoughts on your mind and stuff. So when my cousin was sending me something of a leaked document from the Liberal Party Canada, and you kind of see it kind of feeds you the agenda, and when that feeds your mind, you almost think it's coming. It's like a projection into the future, that it's going to happen. And we think about that with placebo. So it's a similarity here. The intelligence is that if somebody tells you something's going to happen, if somebody tells you this is how it works, if somebody tells you something, you get all into fear, even though you don't have any proof of it, then we can start to think about it. So usually if I read certain things, just to be aware of it, I will send it off on the air, send it off in the airwaves somewhere, just so that it's not on my mind, not on top of mind, not in a drawer anywhere, just gone. Learned and gone. And then it's probably floating out there. So if somebody says, "Have you read it?" Or if I wanted to go back in time, let's say, okay, at the end of 2021, which we have no idea how things are going to ravel up. They might unravel, might think that they want to do this, but I wouldn't pay too much attention to the things you don't want, and pay a whole lot of attention to the things you do want. And these are thoughts are things too. So pay attention to what you do want. Focus on what you do want. Imagine what you want, and do it with joy and fun and play and creative and things like that, versus reading and spending more time listening to the news, reading some of these things and thinking about them, and them affecting your emotions and your feelings, and that just gives them more energy. So if I were wanting to achieve something, one of the things I could do would be to tell everybody that this is coming, this is happening, or come up with some psychological thing that'll have them do it. because they've been told, things are going to happen or things are going to be coming. And that gets a bunch of people in fear. They can't think straight, so they don't even have time to think straight if they know something's coming that they don't like, or they're agreeing that this is going to happen. One of the things that the Sapiens book is, I call it seeding, but any of these books, any of these movies, any of these things that you watch might be seeding, where they're saying blah, blah, blah in the future, and blah, blah, blah this, and economy this, and these many deaths of this, and blah, 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 because, they're just going to start coming up with crappy models to say this and that, which they used right in the beginning. But this is the thing. So thoughts are things to focusing on what and imagining what you do want, and maintain that as much as you can throughout the day, throughout these holidays, and all of that. So I'm going to wish everybody a most wonderful holiday and happy times, whichever way, however you can find it that way. And maybe what I will do, just as a thanks, Angel, just as a potential, is that I do a Zoom call. I did one, I think it was last night, but I'm going to do a one, I think, on Wednesday night as well. So everybody's invited. It's like a holiday. It's like a virtual holiday cheer. And in that case, because we're coming into the new year, we'll do a toast. We can call it that way. So I'll put the link down below, and with the date and all the information. So everybody's welcome. It's only for an hour, but the idea is to come together for those who appreciate, grateful for it, and all that kind of stuff. So I'll put that down below as well. So take care, everyone. Enjoy the weather, no matter what it is. And if you have to use technology to see people, friends, get caught up. Enjoy. And we will see you again live at 5. Probably not for the next couple of days, but definitely Monday. We'll see you Monday. We'll see what Sunday's like, but we'll see what comes up. So take care. Just give everything else a break and imagine what we do want. Take care. Bye for now.